feel like I made the best decisions for my dating life when I remained alone and actually got rid of anyone that was not in alignment with what I want. And I had got up to a part in my dating journey where I was really headstrong about what it is I want. I had my list and I wasn't going for anything that was outside of that. And I was quick to tell a guy goodbye and just be alone. Hey, girlfriends. Welcome back to the Hey Girlfriend podcast. I'm your host, Kindall D. And today's topic is going to be on it is okay to date one man at a time versus doing how society and social media and all the girlies on social media say to do is, date multiple men at a time so you don't get your heart broken. You have multiple to choose from in case one doesn't act right. You got another one and all of that, Mine is going with the opposite. What about the women that really just don't want to do that and don't like doing that? So I want to say that it's okay. Basically, it's okay that you prefer to not have a rotation of men that you talk to and you're getting to know. And it's okay to not have like a dating roster. Like, it is okay. So I want to get into, I guess, what I mean by all of this and where it's coming from. And also, I want to talk about the, I guess, what could happen from you doing that. You know how they say that talking to one man and putting all your eggs in one basket is how you can end up getting hurt and whatnot. I also got something to say about that I'm going to save for last in the show. But to start, what made me come up with this? Okay, so I feel that it is very, very important that when you date, that whatever man you're dating is not competing with other men per se, but competing with your alone time. And what I mean by that is, just think about it. If you are dating a few men, or you're talking, or I would say you're talking to you, like you're in the talking stage, nothing serious. You're talking to a few guys. Let's say you're talking to about 2 guys, maybe 3. And none of them are really going anywhere. None of them are really intentional. They're just pop in every now and then. And you're just like, bored, or you're hoping something goes further with one of them because you like him a lot. Let's just say that's the scenario, okay? Let's set that up. And you're talking to them, but it's not really going anywhere. Then in comes another man that's not in this rotation already. Someone new, a new man shows up, and he is intentional. He is, always consistent, never inconsistent, knows what he wants, comes in like dating you, taking you out, showing you that, hey, I really like you and really want you. And actually, about that action, I guess, so to speak. This man comes in. He's not like these other guys that you have been talking to on a rotation. He's different. And you decide to go with him based off that alone, that he's intentional. So you see what you've done there. You're probably like, but what's wrong with that? What's she getting at? What I'm getting at, is that, what about your other standards? What about all the other things that you need to feel in a relationship? What about all the other things you just need, period, in a relationship? It's not just about a man being intentional. Because when you think about it, any man that comes in being intentional is going to look like a king compared to the rotation you have of men that just are like, lollygagging around, not really doing anything, talking here and there. You like him, you like one more than the other, but he ain't acting right. He's not coming with that act right. He's not being intentional, but you really like him. Any man that comes along, but that is the opposite of that and is intentional, it's gonna look like a saint, because you're comparing that man to your rotation of nobodies, basically. And why would you want a man that is better than a nobody, that can even compare to a nobody? And what I mean by that is, you don't want a man that is competing with other men that are really nobodies, that really aren't being intentional. Because let's think about it. If those other men were so intentional and were really so good, wouldn't you be talking to just one of them by now and be in commitment with one of them by now instead of having a rotation still? That must mean they really ain't all that. It must mean they really ain't shit. It must mean they're not really intentional. I'm not going to say it must mean they're not shit. It's whatever. They're not intentional. They're not really wanting anything serious. Or they're just kind of like playing around, and you're just not feeling it. You're in limbo with them, so to speak. And then this new man comes around, and he's intentional, and next thing you know, you're in a relationship with him, and you're cutting off all these other guys because he outshined the other guys. But any man can outshine that bullshit. You still have to go according to what your full list of standards are and what's important to you to have and what you want. You have to really get to know someone. And I feel like it's better that a man competes with your alone time as versus other men. That's just my personal opinion. Because why keep a rotation or a roster of men around that aren't even in alignment with what it is you want? Like, why keep them around if you know that's not the type of relationship you want? You know it's not going anywhere. Why are they still hanging around you? Why do you have them in your path? Why are they even getting access to you? Why are you even talking to them? If you know what you want, if you say that you know you want a real commitment, you want someone that is all about you, you want someone that is intentional, you want someone that is emotionally available, you have this whole list of all these things you want, but that rotation of men aren't meeting any of those requirements, what is the point? How about if you get rid of anyone that does not meet those standards instead of keeping them around just because? So that means, how is it possible to even date multiple men when you really, really think about it? Like, how is that possible? That means you got a bunch of shit in your frequency, in your field, and it can really corrupt some things. And what I mean by it can really corrupt some things, because it's like you are signaling to the universe that you're not really ready for what you want. You're not. Hold on, let me start that over. When you keep a bunch of men around that are not really in alignment with what it is you want, because you're trying to quote unquote keep a roster, not put all your eggs in one basket. When you keep men around that just aren't even in alignment, what it is that you're signaling to the universe that you're not even ready for what it is you say you really want. You're not even making space for it. Your space is all crowded up with a bunch of nobodies that are not even what you really want and not even going in the direction you want. So what's the point? That man, any man that comes along is going to look like a king to those guys. Anyone's going to look good. But like I said before, what if they compete with your alone time instead? Meaning that you are okay with being single and keeping your space clear of any debris. Just like if a plane was trying to take off. It can't take off with a bunch of shit on the field. Or it can't take off if it's a storm or if it's rainy. It has to be clear. So I'm saying, why not keep that field clear? And what I mean by that is, when you keep it clear, that means any man that comes along, you are able to have them compete with your alone time, which is way far more precious than a rotation of a bunch of nothing as men that are not even wanting what you want. Why play around like that? Now, unless you don't want a relationship, you don't want a commitment, unless you really don't want that, then okay, play around. Have all the men you want. Have all the men's. But if you know you want one man and you want a commitment, why keep them around? They're not in alignment with what you want. Let that man compete with your alone time. I know it can get lonely. You're not even having anyone to talk to. Or you not having even a possible. Some people don't know what it's like to be fully alone without having any man to talk to or to text when they're bored. And if you want more than that, you gotta stop entertaining stuff like that. It's gonna cloud your judgment when a man comes along that is intentional, because any man that comes along being intentional, that's different. That right there alone is different than the other man. So you think that's it. He's the one. And you may find yourself starting to romanticize the relationship with him before it even starts. And that causes you to not look at all the other things you need. Because I'm going to be for real. Just because a man is nice, taking you out on dates, being intentional, doesn't mean that he is necessarily good for you. You still got a list of other things that you want. A personal story of mine, I did that shit before. Like, it was a nice guy that I was dating, and I was single. Like, I didn't even have any possibles around. I've always been the type to kind of date one man at a time, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And I may have said date multiple men before on my, like, in my old posts. I may have, but I've been slowly coming out of that mindset, and I guess I have the material and have the words I want to say to convey this. But yeah, I was dating this guy. He was nice. He was intentional. He was, taking me out on dates. He was just, really being consistent and really dating me, like seriously dating me. But I did not like him. Now, I imagine if I had like some other guys that weren't really shit that I was talking to, I would probably go with him, because I'm like, oh, Fallon, you're different than the guys that I've been talking to that I got, I can get rid of the rest of them. Like, I want to go with you because you're not thinking clearly. But I was thinking clearly because I was by myself and I was okay with being by myself. So it was like, I don't want to be around you like that. I don't like you like that. Like, he wasn't bad, but it was just some things about him that just I did not like. I wasn't even that attracted to him. Some other things too. The sex wasn't right. I'll just be honest. I was just like, yeah, no. And I told him that it wasn't going to work. And we never got in a relationship, and I'm glad, because I'm like, no. It was just no. That's all I can say. And I found that my alone time wasn't so bad, because for one, I like being alone. And for two, I filled up that alone time with me. I didn't abandon myself during that time. And, I leaned into that. I had friends around, family around. So I wasn't truly alone. And I had to realize that if I really want the companion that's for me, the man that's for me, I have to do it this way. Like, I cannot just settle, because I settled in the past and I seen where it got me. And I had jumped into relationships before and I seen what it got me. I've been, dare I say it, desperate before. And I seen what it got me. And I knew that I can't do it that way anymore. I'm not going down that road. So I had gotten pretty headstrong about what it is that I wanted towards the, I guess I would say, the end of my dating, because, that's what led up to me meeting my husband. And I really don't believe I would have met my husband if I kept a rotation of a bunch of nothing ass men. I really don't think I would have. Because I just don't think I would have noticed him. I would have kept him like on a rotation. I find that when I talk to one guy, once I talk to you and I realize that I'm really liking where the conversation is going, I'm really liking dating you. Even though I have not made up my mind that I want to commit to you, that we're not there yet, I know that I'm liking talking to you the most. And you are slowly meeting some of my list of standards and things that I'm looking for. And so when I would get to that point, even this was before committing to each other, I'm like, I'm going to, whatever guy that I was just talking to. When I say just talking, meaning someone that I was just getting to know. Not someone that I kept around after I knew they weren't the one. Someone I was just getting to know, and if I decided, okay, that's not it, I would, stop talking to him. And even though I hadn't committed to this other guy, I would, talk solely to them. And that's just how I did it. And I feel like that's really how we should be doing it. Like, I don't really like to tell women how they need to date, but I will say that it is very, very important for you to only keep the men around that are in alignment with what it is you want. So if you just happen to meet multiple guys that are really in alignment with what you want, and they're all spectacular and they're all consistent, I don't know how this can be. I don't know how you can have about 2 or 3 very consistent men that want to see you and date you. It's only 7 days in the week. So I don't know how you're dating all of them and seeing all of them. But I mean, it just, let's just say, hypothetically, you have that. Then that's a little different. And yes, you can have your choice and pick out of who you like the most and continue with all of them if that's your thing. But this podcast is for the girlies that want a commitment. And so if that's what you are wanting, a commitment, then talk to the one the most and get to know them the most and start building a connection with them. And the connection doesn't mean that, oh, we're in a relationship. I mean, start building, like, I guess, a rapport with them that turns into a connection. And to me, you can only do that talking to one. It's very hard to do that with multiples. And like I said, why would there be multiples around if they're all really good? And you really want one man, date one man. And let's get into the part of, and what if that doesn't work out? Kindall, what if I put all my eggs in this one basket and he ends up not even being any good? Well, I want you to know that that's okay. It is so okay to put your eggs in one basket and then it not go well. I think we have gotten so wrapped up in trying to avoid being hurt that we forget that it is important to have some type of attachment in order to get to know someone, to see if they're even for you. And when we hear attachment, we automatically only assume, oh, that's an anxious attachment. Oh, attachment is bad. Attachment is not bad. There's also secure attachment. So you want to ensure that you are securely attaching to someone. That is okay. That's how you know if they're for you or not. That's how you start to build something. You cannot go in with this mindset that you're so afraid of getting hurt that means you're afraid of getting close. And so then you're never going to have the connection and relationship and commitment that you want if you do that. You see what I'm saying? So, yes, you might get hurt. Yes, they may end up not being the one. But that is okay. It is so okay that you saw someone, like someone, and it seemed like things were going great. And maybe things were really going great. And then it just ended up falling through. So what you going to say to yourself, dang, I wish I would have had a rotation of men so I can go jump with somebody else. No. It's okay to attach. You just got to know how to detach. And know how to detach, meaning you trust yourself to let go when you realize that they're no longer in alignment with what you want and they're not really meeting your standards like you thought they were. But I want to say this. Hear me out. You may not run into that issue of possibly being hurt by putting your eggs in one basket. And the reason being that I believe and that I find is that when you start off single, meaning you don't have that rotation, when you start off purely single and you don't have a rotation of men that you're talking to, and it's just you in your alone time, it's just you in your world, no prospects on the horizon that are, half in, half out, none of that. It's just you. When it's just you and you're dating, and then you find someone and you start to like them, you tend to be more hesitant before going into a relationship with them or before even connecting with them. You're more hesitant because you actually like your singlehood. You like your alone time. I'm not saying that you have to be like, I don't want a romantic relationship. You can want that and still be one with yourself in your alone time. I find that when you are at that place in your life and everything is in alignment and you get men out of your frequency that are not in alignment with you, you get them away from you, and you're not even keeping a rotation of nothing as men that are not intentional. You're doing away with them like, nope, they're not in alignment with what I want. When you are just you, single on your own, it makes space for someone decent to come along. It makes space for not only decent, but it makes space for someone to come along that is in alignment, like true alignment. And it's because you are okay with being alone. And so you are taking your time with them. And when you take your time, you choose more wisely. And so I find that when you put your eggs in one basket, it usually works out okay. You just can't do it prematurely, Well, no, I don't want to say that. No, I don't want to say that. You just can't romanticize it. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's okay to put your eggs in one basket, but don't romanticize it. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. And what I mean by don't romanticize it, don't see things that are not there. Don't tell yourself that what kind of relationship you're going to have and what kind of man this is and all of that. But usually, when you're single and you have your list of standards, you tend to not really romanticize it unless you're still in that phase of having an anxious attachment and you're still trying to heal that. Because I admit I had some moments like that to where I was romanticizing men before that. I just like talking on the phone to them, and so I'm like, oh, this is the one. So I've been that girl. Literally, I've done that. And that didn't work well because you are going in so hopeful and romanticizing it. And that ends up going bad because you romanticize the shit out of that. Of course, you're going to be hurting the end of that. But when you go in clear-headed and you're not romanticizing it, you can put your eggs in one basket. You totally can. Because you're not attaching too soon. It's okay to work towards building a secure attachment to whoever you're talking to. But you have to be mindful about this. And you have to be grounded about this. And not romanticize it. That's where I feel the heartbreak comes in from putting your eggs in one basket. That's what everybody's trying to tell you. You need to talk to multiple men. Because if you talk to multiple men, then you're not romanticizing one. You're talking to all. But like I said before, if you're talking to multiples and let's say they're all intentional, it's going to be pretty hard to keep that up. But if you're talking to multiple and most of them are not really, not that into you, seem like it, not really talking to you or half in, half out, texting what you're doing you to death, and no. Why keep that around? Why? So, the gist of what I'm basically saying, my girlfriends, is that it's okay. It is okay to date one man at a time if you do it the way that I'm saying. And the reason why it's okay is because you just tend to choose more wisely. You're not quick to end up in something because you're comparing that man that came in being intentional, like that's all you need. he came in like taking you on dates and stuff, and you like the conversation, and you think, oh yeah, that's all I need. Let me go be in a relationship with him, because he outshines all these nothing nobodies around here that was not intentional. Anyone's gonna outshine that, but not any man can outshine your true alone time if you really like your alone time. Haha. It's very hard for a man to compete with that if you truly like your alone time. You're not going to just be quick to go with just anyone and be in a relationship with just anyone. So therefore, if you're getting to know that one person that you're not romanticizing and attaching too soon to, but you're talking to one person, you can easily detach because you weren't so attached so quickly. That's how you work that. And a quick little personal story, that's really how I did it. And I didn't realize I did it that way until I really sat and thought about it, because I was coaching someone today and I brought up the idea that, it's possibly better if you are alone first and then you date a man that you can compare to your alone time, that can compete with that, that's better than that. So therefore you're not putting someone in your space that's not really supposed to be there, if you will. Because when I met my husband, I didn't have a rotation. I had a guy that I was talking to, but I was beginning to stop talking to, because I'm like, okay, he was all hot and heavy, then he wasn't. And so I remember texting him that I wasn't going to be able to talk to him anymore. And I think when I told this story before, I told it in a sense of like, I was dating more than one man. But when I really thought about it, I really was not. Like, I told him that, hey, I met someone else, and and I really didn't have to tell him that because we weren't really talking. But I decided to, because we would talk every now and then. So I thought it'd be better to just be like, hey, don't ever text me out the blue. I'm interested in someone else. And my husband and I had not even made it official. We weren't even near that. We had just went out on like 2 dates. And I was like, okay, I really want to divert my attention to him and get to know him. Even though we're not committed, and I don't even know if we will be. I was okay that if it did or it didn't. I was okay either way. And so I let the other guy go, because I'm like, he was just not in alignment anyway. So I text him like, hey, don't text me ever again, basically. I'm talking to someone. And so I didn't know that was going to be my husband. I had no clue. We weren't even in a commitment. We was like only 2-3 dates in. I just knew I liked him. So yes, I put my eggs in one basket. And the reason why I was okay with me is because I was okay if it did or didn't work out. I didn't romanticize the situation. I just took my time to get to know him. And I was only able to do that by only talking to him. I don't feel I would have been able to really get to know him if I was talking to other guys. I just have never been able to really successfully do that. And so basically, in a nutshell, to wrap this all up with a pretty little bow, it's okay, girlfriend, if you like talking to one man at a time. Don't let social media try to tell you and persuade you that you crazy for putting all your eggs in one basket. No, the thing is, just don't romanticize it. And just don't jump too far ahead. But like I said, when you are okay with your alone time, that's usually easier to do. It's easier for you to be like, let me take my time with this, because I don't want no man fucking up my alone time. I'm just being for real. So let this podcast episode be a lesson to you to create dating rules that really work for you. Don't be tempted or persuaded to do things how everyone else is doing or how social media says to do it. I tried talking to multiple men at one time before, and I barely was able to do it. It was like 2 at a time, and I could barely do that. And I'm like, this is not for me. And I kind of tried to do that when I met my husband, thought I was doing something. But as I said before, like, I wasn't even really talking to him like that. I tried, but it's like, no. So it's okay if that's not your thing. It is okay. It is okay to build with one person and get to know one person. And if that doesn't work out, it will be okay. You just got to know how to detach. That's the main thing. You can't be so afraid of getting to know someone and possibly getting hurt because it doesn't work out. You can't be so afraid of that you don't even try to connect. So sometimes in connecting with someone, with trying to get the commitment that you want, there may be a risk of you getting hurt. It always will be a risk. Sometimes it may be a lesser risk because you take your time to get to know someone and you start to build trust with them. So it could be less of a risk, but it's always going to be there. You can't control that. You can only control you. And so you have to know that in the event that you put your eggs in this one basket because you really like them and get to know them and it doesn't work out, then you will be okay. It won't be the end of the world. That's how you determine who's for you and who's not, by actually taking the time to get to know them. And that sometimes means that you will begin to build an attachment. Attachment is not bad as long as it's a secure attachment. And on another note, it's not bad as long as you know how to detach and know that you can recover and you'll be okay. So if you are the type that want to put your eggs in one basket and want to date one man, girlfriend, go right ahead. Just take some of the little lessons and tidbits I told you. So that's all I got for this podcast episode, girlfriends. Check out my books. I did a revision and updated copy of Toxic Ex Chronicles John. I went through the whole book and edited it because I realized that some of my grammar from the first book wasn't the best. And my writing is improving. So I was like, let me go in here and revise this. And plus I have plans for it that I'm trying to do that I'd rather keep to myself, between me and God right now. So I'm trying to do some things behind the scenes. But yes, I did update that, and it has a new cover as well. So I wanted to match the Toxic Ex Chronicles Sebastian when that drops later this year in December. So keep an eye on that. I am excited that I feel like I'm on, I guess, the correct route, of the correct road, correct path of what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I feel like I'm going to dive all the way into writing for real. Like, writing the books, because that just feels right, And I'm going to focus more on that and stop being scared and stopping and then starting. I'm diving in. So, yeah. Check out the re-edited version of Toxic Ex Chronicles. I like it a lot better. I just feel better about it. So, that's all I got. Coaching, as always. Everything is in the link in bio. I've been that girl.net. So, until the next episode, girlfriends, peace out.